The night was supposed to be innocent, just a hotel stay after Ethan's cousin's chaotic bachelor party. We were drunk, full of laughter, worn out from dancing and tequila shots that hit harder than either of us wanted to admit. We stumbled into the shared hotel room past 2 a.m., shoes kicked off, ties loosened, shirts half untucked. We were best friends, had been since middle school. Nothing more, nothing ever crossed the line. Not until tonight. Ethan collapsed on the bed, one leg hanging off the side, arms flung behind his head. "Man, I'm done," he groaned. "I'm never drinking again." I chuckled, rummaging through my duffel for something to sleep in. "You say that every weekend." He grinned, eyes half-lidded. "But this time I mean it." The room was dim, lit only by the soft glow from a bedside lamp. I tried not to look too long at him, stretched out like that. He'd always been handsome. Messy hair, strong arms, that casual confidence that came so naturally to straight guys. The kind of guy who never questioned anything, until now. I turned toward the bathroom. "Gonna shower quick." "Don't drown," he muttered, already half asleep. The water was cold at first, then warm, then too warm. I stayed under it longer than I needed, letting the sound muffle the noise in my chest. I'd spent years pretending I didn't feel anything for Ethan, that he was just my friend, that his hands on my shoulder didn't linger, that the way he looked at me sometimes wasn't curiosity but just comfort. He was straight, engaged, and completely off limits. By the time I stepped back into the room, towel wrapped around my waist, the air had shifted. The TV was off, the light dimmer now. Ethan lay still on his back, shirtless, the covers pulled low. His arm rested across his stomach. At first I thought he was asleep. Then I noticed the movement. His hand, slow and deliberate, was under the covers. His eyes were shut, brows drawn tight, mouth slightly parted. There was no mistaking it. He was touching himself, right there, in the dim silence of our shared room. I froze. My heart jumped into my throat. I didn't know what to do. Turn away? Say something? I couldn't stop staring, not just because of what he was doing, but how completely unguarded he looked. No shame, no fear, just raw, private pleasure. He didn't notice me at first, or maybe he did, and didn't care. I stood by the bathroom door, watching from the shadows. My body tensed. My breath came shallow. Part of me wanted to run. But another part, the part I kept buried deep, wanted nothing more than to move closer. He let out a soft moan, barely audible. My name slipped from his lips. I blinked. Liam. It was barely a whisper, but I heard it. My name, cracked open in the middle of a secret. His eyes opened slowly. They met mine, and he didn't stop. He kept his hand moving under the sheet, his breathing shallow now, his eyes locked on mine like a dare. He wasn't drunk enough to not know what he was doing. He wasn't asleep. He knew. I took one step toward the bed. My throat was dry. "Ethan," I said, barely recognizing my own voice. He didn't respond, just looked at me, breathing harder now. Seconds stretched. The air was electric, thick with something neither of us had the words for. "Come here," he said finally, voice low, uncertain, but not pulling away. I moved closer. My towel loosened slightly around my waist. My fingers shook. I sat on the edge of the bed. The distance between us was paper thin. My mind screamed all the reasons to walk away, to stop, to pretend this never happened. But my heart, and maybe something deeper, leaned in. He didn't stop me. I didn't know what I was expecting when I sat on the edge of that bed. A laugh? A shove? Some kind of just kidding bro to break the tension and snap us back to safety? But Ethan just watched me, his chest rising and falling, the same hand still moving under the sheet. I glanced down, then back at him. He didn't flinch. I began, then stopped. There was nothing safe to say now. He sat up slightly, resting on his elbows. The sheet dropped lower, revealing more skin, more truth. I can't stop thinking about it, he whispered. About you. It's messed up, right? His voice cracked at the edges, like he wasn't sure if he wanted to confess or beg for denial. I swallowed hard. Why didn't you tell me? He laughed softly, bitter and hollow. Because I'm supposed to marry someone else. The silence between us buzzed louder than any words. I looked at his hand, at his eyes. My own hands trembled in my lap. Then, slowly, I reached for the blanket. He didn't stop me. I pulled it back, exposing him to the warm, stale air of the hotel room. His body was tense, breathing shaky, but he didn't pull away. I looked at him, searching for anything, fear, regret, hesitation, but I saw only heat and pain, and maybe relief. When I touched him, it was like everything else fell away. The walls, the guilt, the noise in my head that said this was wrong. He gasped softly, his body twitching at my first touch. Liam, he said again, this time more grounded, more real. My name in his mouth was electric. I moved slowly, carefully, like I was touching something sacred. And maybe I was. Not just his body, but the part of him he'd buried for years. The part he never let anyone see. Not even himself. He closed his eyes, head tilted back. My hand moved in rhythm, a quiet kind of understanding between us. This wasn't just release, it was surrender, a slow, aching kind. His hand found mine, fingers curled over fingers. We moved together. Why does this feel good? He whispered. Because you've wanted it, I replied. Even if you didn't. Admit it. He didn't answer, but he didn't deny it either. His other hand reached for my waist, pulling the towel loose. It slid off my hips, pooling around my thighs. I didn't resist. He looked down, took in what he saw, then looked back at me, with something like awe or confusion. I've never done anything like this, he murmured. You don't have to, I said. Let me. I leaned in, my lips brushing his shoulder. He tensed, but not in fear. His hand tightened on mine. It was clumsy at first, awkward. Two worlds colliding, not sure where they ended and the other began. But slowly, the rhythm returned. Our breathing synced, our bodies pressed together, heat building. His head rested on my shoulder, sweat clinging to his brow. He moaned my name again, softer this time. Vulnerable. When he reached the peak, he gripped my wrist and let out a muffled groan, burying his face into the crook of my neck. His body shook, tense, then trembling, then still. I held him afterward. Neither of us said anything. He pulled away after a few minutes, turned toward the wall, and wiped his face with the blanket. The warmth of the moment cooled, and silence returned, this time heavier. I can't do this, he said. I didn't ask what he meant. I already knew. I love her, he continued. Or I thought I did. I pulled the towel back around my waist and sat up. You don't have to explain. But he did anyway. I've been lying to myself. I thought it was just admiration, or some phase I ignored, but it's not. And now I don't know what the hell to do. He sat up, still not looking at me. His hands trembled slightly. I cheated, not just on her, on everything I said I was. I looked down at my hands. It didn't feel like cheating, I said. Not in the moment. He stood pacing. But it is. It is, Liam. I wanted to reach out, to tell him it was okay, that he didn't need to figure it all out tonight, but he was already putting on his shirt. I need air, he muttered. He grabbed the hotel key and left, the door closing behind him like the end of a dream. And I sat there, alone in that bed, smelling his skin on my hands. The sun leaked through the curtains like an unwanted truth. It painted golden lines across the bed, across my bare legs, across the empty space beside me. Ethan was gone. The towel was still crumpled on the floor. The sheets still held the heat from the night before. But the room felt colder than it should have. I sat up slowly, listening, for footsteps, a door creak, anything that would tell me he hadn't left for good. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed on the nightstand. A single message. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. I stared at it for a long time, longer than I needed to. My fingers hovered over the screen, unsure whether to type, delete, or scream. I didn't reply. What could I even say? Last night hadn't been a drunken accident. It hadn't been a joke or a slip or something we could laugh off later. It had been deliberate, real, messy, and now it was a fracture neither of us knew how to seal. I leaned back on the headboard and closed my eyes. His voice echoed in my head, soft, shaky, calling my name as if it meant something. Was it love? Or was it confusion? My mind wandered back to high school, to those nights when we'd fall asleep watching movies, my head on his shoulder. To that time he held me for a second too long when my first boyfriend dumped me. To the way he always looked at me when he was trying to say something without speaking. Had he always felt it, or had he just been running from it? The keycard clicked in the lock. My heart jumped. The door opened. Ethan stepped in slowly, head lowered, coffee in one hand, hoodie zipped up to his chin. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. He didn't say anything at first, just walked in and set the coffee down on the desk like it was an apology. I couldn't sleep, he said. Me neither. He sat on the other bed, elbows on knees, staring at the carpet. I walked around for hours, ended up at a gas station just standing there like an idiot, didn't even know what I wanted. I didn't respond. I just watched him. He looked smaller somehow, or maybe just more real. Finally, he turned to face me. I'm getting married in 3 weeks. I nodded. I already knew. He told me that a dozen times before. But now the words sat heavier between us. I keep trying to picture her face last night, what she'd say if she knew. I said nothing. He ran a hand through his hair. But I don't regret it. That's the problem. My chest tightened. He looked up, meeting my eyes. I liked it. I liked you. But it scared the hell out of me. You don't have to figure it all out right now, I said gently. I'm not asking you to. He let out a sharp breath. I know. But I'm asking myself. And I don't know who I am anymore. You're still Ethan, I whispered. You're still my best friend. He shook his head. I don't think I can be, after what we did. There it was. The wall. But even as he said it, he stood up and walked to my bed. Sat beside me. Our arms brushed, and he didn't pull away. I've loved her for years, he said. But last night felt like something I've been missing without knowing. I blinked, holding back the ache rising in my throat. So what happens now? He didn't answer right away. He just sat there, staring at our hands. I go back. I try to be what she needs. I bury this like I've buried everything else. And me? I asked. He looked at me then, finally, eyes tired, honest. You'll always be in my head. I don't think I can erase that. I nodded, even though it hurt. He stood, grabbed his bag, looked at the door, then back at me. Thank you, he said, for last night, for seeing me. Then he walked out. I didn't chase him. I didn't cry. I just laid back down and stared at the ceiling. letting the weight of silence settle over me. Sometimes love doesn't look like forever. Sometimes it's a single night that breaks something open and then leaves you to pick up the pieces alone. But I didn't regret it either, because for once, I hadn't dreamed it. He had wanted me, and maybe, for one night, I had saved him from his own lie.